Okay, team, here we go. Today's video is about multiplying binomials. When you multiply binomials, you're going to use FOIL. If you don't remember what FOIL means, I would love to remind you. The F stands for first. Oops. You get the idea. The O stands for outside. The I stands for inside, and the L stands for last. Now, I hope at some point during that brief explanation you started saying those before I did, because I think once I said first, you probably started remembering what the other one stood for. So that's awesome. Okay, let's see how that works itself out when you're actually doing a problem. Okay, now one thing I want to make abundantly clear about this problem and the problems that we will be doing this whole day is that we know that they are multiplied together because the sets of parentheses are right next to each other. If you remember 2 days ago when we were adding and subtracting polynomials, you would sometimes have a setup like this where you would have the end of one parenthesis, a plus or minus sign, and then the start of another parenthesis. So that would mean this whole polynomial, whatever was in here, is being added to this polynomial. In this situation, the sets of parentheses are snuggled up right next to each other, which means we know that they're being multiplied, okay? So don't be confused, even though you see two sets of parentheses and no sign in between them, that always means multiplication. Okay, so when we FOIL, we're going to multiply the firsts first. So we're going to look at our two first terms. This is the first term in this binomial, and this is the first term in this binomial. So x times x gives us x squared. Then our outsides is next. Let me write FOIL down here. Oh, whoops. FOIL down here for us, F-O-I-L. Okay, so we already did first. Now we need to do outside. So x is the outside of this binomial, and 7 is the outside of this binomial because they're on the outside of the problem. Okay, so 7 times x is 7x. Now the insides. So negative 5 and x gives us negative 5x. And then we'll go ahead and do our lasts. So the last term in this polynomial is negative 5, and the last term in this polynomial is positive 7. So negative 5 times positive 7 is negative 35. Now, just like we did in the last problem, when adding and subtracting polynomials, we need to combine our like terms. So here, in our rough draft of an answer, we have a 7x and a negative 5x. So we need to combine those. Those are the only two like terms in our rough draft. So 7x and negative 5x gives us positive 2x minus 35. So that would be your final answer then for this problem. Okay, here's another similar problem, except we're stepping it up a notch this time because our variables have coefficients. Whoa, what now? Well, we're still going to do FOIL. So F-O-I-L. First step is to multiply the firsts together. So again, first term in this binomial, first term in this binomial. 2 times 6 is 12, and y times y is y squared. Okay, now check off the F. Outsides, this is the outside in this polynomial, or binomial, and this is the outside in this binomial. So negative 7 times 2y is going to be negative 14y. Insides, 3 and 6y. We're multiplying, remember? Okay, so 18y. And finally, we need the lasts. This is the last term in this binomial. This is the last term in this binomial. So positive 3 and negative 7 make negative 21 when they are multiplied. Okay, now that we're done with all our multiplication, we can combine like terms. And when we do that, we're actually going back to adding or subtracting depending on what your signs tell you. So this says negative 14y plus 18y. So a negative 14 plus 18 is going to give us a positive 4. So our answer will simplify to 12y squared plus 4y minus 21. And that will be the final answer for that problem. Okay, again, notice we have a binomial immediately joined next to a binomial. So we know that we're going to multiply them. So we want to use, again, FOIL. So our first terms are the 8x and the 5x. So if we multiply those together, we get 40x squared. Our outside terms are going to be 8x and negative 4y. Multiply 8 and negative 4 together, you get negative 32. X times y gives you xy. Okay, nothing special there, just stick them right next to each other. Now our inside terms are 2y and 5x. 2 times 5 is 10, and x times y is again xy. Now I'm running myself out of room here, but 2y, check off the I. We're down to lasts. 2y and negative 4y multiply together to give us negative 8y squared. Okay, so if we are going to combine our like terms, and we certainly will, we are going to combine negative 32xy and positive 10xy. These have the same variables as this over here. Notice this is an x squared and this is a y squared. So even though they both have squareds, they have different variables. So we cannot combine those, okay? So negative 32xy plus 10xy is going to give us a negative 22xy. We're going to keep our negative 8y squared and our 40x squared. And this is our final answer. Okay, so I tricked ya and I slipped another lesson in here. This second part of this lesson is multiplying binomials and trinomials. I have hashtagged this lesson not FOIL because this is not a place where you're going to use FOIL. You're going to use a different method on this. And why does math have to be so complicated? Because you need a different method for everything that you do. Okay, now this method I think is really cool if you can understand it. Okay, so first I'm going to show you a non-related problem. In other words, this doesn't have anything to do with polynomials, but it absolutely has to do with what you will do with these polynomials. So let's try 231, changed it on ya, times 14, okay? When we do this multiplication, the first thing we do is multiply the 4 times the 1. We're going to multiply the 1's placed together. And then we're going to multiply the 4 times the 3, then the 4 times the 2, right? We're going to multiply the 4 times each part of the top number. So when we do 4 times 1, we get 4. 4 times 3, we get 12. Carry the 1. 4 times 2, you get 8. And add 1 makes it 9. Then we're going to come down here and multiply the 1 times every part of this. But the first thing we have to do is give ourselves a placeholder 0. Then we can do 1 times 1, 1 times 3, and 1 times 2. Then we add them together and get 4 plus 0 is 4, 2 plus 1 is 2, 9 plus 3 is 12, carry the 1, and 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, so our final answer here is 3,224. How on earth does this relate to this problem? I will tell you. Over here, notice that you have a polynomial with 2 terms. Notice here that you have a number with 2 digits. Here you have a polynomial with 3 terms, and here you have a number with 3 digits. Notice that these parentheses are touching, which means multiplication. Notice that this is multiplication. Okay? We're going to use the same method that we just used to multiply 231 by 14. We're going to do the same thing over here with these polynomials. So we're going to start with the polynomial that has 3 terms. So a squared minus 8a plus 5. And then below that, we're going to put our 2-term polynomial, a minus 3. We're going to give ourselves a nice little line and a times sign. Okay? So just like we did over here, we're going to start with the first, meaning we're starting on the right. This times everything. So we need to do our 3 times everything. So 3, now it's negative 3, notice, times positive 5 is going to be negative 15. And negative 3 times negative 8a is going to give you positive 24a. And then negative 3 times a squared is going to give us negative 3a squared. Now the tricky thing here is that we're not going to use a placeholder 0 necessarily, but we are going to leave a space. We're going to leave this part open because when we multiply the a times everything, the first thing we will get is a times 5, which is 5a. Now if you notice, this starts lining you up so that your like terms are right above each other. If you put this 5a over here, then you would have a 15 and a 5a, and you can't add those. So we want to leave this space open, just like we did over here, so that we can have these like terms stacked right on top of each other. Okay, so we're going to do now, we did a times 5, so we're going to do a times negative 8a, and we're going to get negative 8a squared. And then a times a squared is going to give you a cubed. I'm sorry, I have a toolbar over here that I can't really write on top of, so I'm kind of squeezing stuff in over here. Okay, so then when we add these together, again, we can draw our line and add them just like we did in this problem over here. Can add them. Negative 15 plus, well, nothing is negative 15. 24a plus 5a is 25a, or 29a, sorry. That's what I meant to say. And negative 3a squared plus negative 8a squared is negative 11a squared. And then we still have our a cubed out front. So this is the answer that we are left with down here, a cubed minus 11a squared plus 29a minus 15. And that is your final answer. All right, let's try this again because nobody learns anything from just one example. We need to, again, start with the largest polynomial on the top. So we're going to put 7k squared plus 2k minus 9. Then below that, 3k plus 4. Put a line, do our multiplication. Start by multiplying the 4 times everything. So first you get 4 times negative 9, which gives you negative 36. Then we're going to do 4 times 2, which gives us 8k. 4 times 2k gives us 8k. And then 4 times 7k squared gives us 28k squared. All right? Now, just like we did last time, we're going to leave this space open. And start writing our numbers under here. So 3k times everything now. So 3k times negative 9 is going to give us negative 27k. 3k times 2k will give us 6k squared. That's positive. And 3k times 7k squared will give us 21k cubed. Whoops. Cubed. That wasn't a very good 3. All right, so now we're adding. Negative 36 just drops down because there's nothing to add to it. 8k plus 27k is going to give us negative 19k. And 28 plus 6, both are k squareds, so they stay k squareds. 28 plus 6 is 34. And we're going to leave this as a 21k cubed. That's a prettier 3. So that is your final answer. All right, so last but not least, we have a 3-term polynomial times a 3-term polynomial. Notice, again, the parentheses right next to each other, okay? This means we're multiplying these polynomials. So, we are going to, just like if you were to do a 3-digit number times a 3-digit number, one on top of the other. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one you do first, so I'm just going to do the first one on top, and then the second one on the bottom. Okay, so when you're multiplying, you're going to start with the bottom term on the right and multiply it times everything. Now, there may not be any of these problems on your homework, but I wanted to show it to you just in case there were, and also to blow your minds, okay? So, 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times negative 5x is negative 20x. That's a positive 8, by the way. 4 times 6x squared is going to be 24x squared. Okay, now we have multiplied the 4 times everything. So if you want to in this, to keep yourself organized, you can cross out the 4 when you're done with it, if that helps you. Okay, so then you know that you're on the 2x and you need to do the 2x times everything. So the first thing we'll do is 2x times 2, which will give us 4x. And again, we are leaving this space open, okay? Next, we have 2x times negative 5x, which gives us a negative 10x squared. And then we have our 2x times our 6x squared, which is going to give us a positive 12x squared. Okay, so you can cross off your 2x if you want to symbolize to yourself that you're done with that. Now, after this, we're going to multiply our 3x squared times everything on the top. So 3x squared times 2 is going to give us 6x squared. Now, notice this is not an x squared. This is not an x squared. This is an x squared. So when we get to this third term in the bottom polynomial, we're actually going to leave this space and this space open, and we're going to start writing down here. Okay? So now we're going to move to 3x squared times negative 5x, which is going to give us a negative 15x squared. That was a positive 6x squared. And then finally, we're going to do our 3x squared times our 6x squared, which is going to give us an 18x to the 4th. All right. So now, again, just like we did before with the other problems, we are going to draw our line and add. Now make sure you keep your columns straight. So this is a positive 8 all by itself. There's nothing else in this column, so we're just going to drop this down and make it a positive 8. This negative 20x and positive 4x are going to stay together, and we are going to add them and get negative 16x. Here we're going to add this column together, so 24x squared minus 10x squared plus 6x squared is going to actually be 20x squared. And then we come over here to the x I'm sorry. These are both supposed to be x cubed. Congratulations to anyone who saw that before I did. You are smart. Okay, so we're going to combine these two, 12x cubed and negative 15x cubed will give us a negative 3x cubed. And then we will just bring down this 18x to the 4th. All right, that is your final answer. That is crazy, and it takes a long time. I understand that, but you probably will not have more than one of these on your homework if you have any at all. So that is a huge relief. At this point, I am going to stop the video. Well, stop recording, and you can start working on your worksheets. Good luck.